I saw my grandson the moment I entered the restaurant. He was laughing with his friends near the front window, wearing the blue sweater I bought him last Christmas. I smiled and raised my hand to wave at him, but instead of smiling back, he looked directly at me, then turned away like he had never seen me before in his life. I just stood there for a second, holding my purse against my chest like a fool. The hostess asked me if I needed a table, but I could barely answer her. My knees felt weak all of a sudden. My grandson Tyler had lived with me for almost 4 years after my son died. I packed his lunches, sat through football games in cold weather, helped him with college applications at my kitchen table in Dayton, Ohio. I even took a second mortgage on my house to help cover his first year at Ohio State after his mother said she couldn't do it anymore. And now he was pretending not to know me. I finally walked over anyway. "Tyler," I said softly. His friends got quiet immediately. 3 boys and 1 girl. College kids, expensive clothes, perfect white smiles. Tyler looked irritated before he even looked ashamed. "Oh, hey," he muttered. "Hey, not Grandma, not Nana. Just hey." I tried to smile through it. "I didn't know you were back in town." "Yeah, just for the weekend." The girl sitting beside him looked at me and asked, "Who's this?" And I swear to God, my own grandson hesitated. "That's, Margaret." "Margaret. Not my grandmother. Not family. Just Margaret." I felt heat crawl up my neck. My hands started trembling so badly I nearly dropped my wallet. One of the boys laughed awkwardly and said, "You know her?" Tyler wouldn't look me in the eyes. "She used to work with my family a long time ago." I honestly thought I misheard him. I stared at him so hard my chest hurt. "Tyler." But he leaned closer to the table and lowered his voice like I was the embarrassing one. "Please don't do this right now. Do this." Like I was causing a scene by existing. I could feel people around us listening, forks clinking, waitresses slowing down. That horrible silence when strangers know something painful is happening, but pretend not to notice. The girl looked uncomfortable. "Wait, I thought your grandma passed away." Tyler immediately answered her. She basically did. I don't think I've ever felt pain hit me that fast before. Not even when my husband died, because death is cruel. But this was humiliation. Deliberate humiliation. I stepped back from the table so quickly my hip bumped into a chair. Tyler finally looked nervous then. "Marg, don't," I said. My voice came out quieter than I expected. I turned and walked toward the exit while every eye in that restaurant burned into my back. I heard one of the girls whisper, "What the hell was that?" But Tyler never came after me. Not then. The strange part is, that wasn't even the worst thing he'd done to me that month. I didn't tell anybody what happened in that restaurant. Not at first. When you get to my age, people stop seeing humiliation as serious pain. They think older women are supposed to absorb it quietly, smile politely, move on, especially from family, but I couldn't sleep after that night. I kept hearing Tyler say, "She basically did." Like I was already buried somewhere. 3 days later, my daughter Karen came over to my house with grocery bags and that tight expression she always wore when she had bad news she didn't want to say out loud. "You look pale," she told me. "I'm fine." She stood in my kitchen, staring at the unpaid bills near the toaster. Then she asked the question I think she'd rehearsed in the car. "Did Tyler talk to you recently?" The minute she said his name, my stomach tightened. "No." Karen nodded slowly like she expected that answer. Then she pulled out her phone and showed me a picture. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. It was Tyler standing beside a real estate sign in front of my house. My house. Smiling like he owned the place. The caption underneath said, "Big changes coming soon. Proud of what's ahead." I felt cold all over. Where did you get this? Facebook. I grabbed my glasses with shaking hands and looked closer. There were comments underneath from his friends. "Congrats, man. Finally. Knew you'd pull it off." One comment made my chest tighten. "Your grandma ever figure it out?" Karen took the phone back before I could keep reading. "What exactly is going on?" she asked me carefully. "I don't know." But deep down, I think I already did. About 6 months earlier, Tyler started helping me with paperwork after I got out of the hospital. Just little things at first: bank forms, insurance letters, property taxes. He'd sit beside me at the dining room table saying things like, "You shouldn't stress yourself with this stuff anymore." And I believed him, because he was family, because I raised him, because after my son died, Tyler was all I had left that still felt connected to him. Karen opened one of my kitchen drawers and started flipping through folders. The more papers she looked at, the quieter she became. Finally, she stopped moving completely. "Mom." "What?" She held up a document with my signature at the bottom, except I didn't remember signing it. "Why does this say Tyler has power of attorney?" The room went silent. I walked over slowly and took the paper from her. My own signature stared back at me in blue ink, dated 4 months earlier. Underneath it said, "Durable General Power of Attorney." My hand started trembling again. "No," I whispered. "No, that can't be right." Karen looked genuinely scared now. "Mom, what else did you sign?" I opened my mouth to answer her, but then somebody knocked on my front door. 3 hard knocks. Karen pulled the curtain aside to look outside, and the color drained completely from her face. "Mom," she said quietly, "there's a man outside taking pictures of your house." Karen went outside before I could stop her. I stayed near the living room window, watching through the curtain while my heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. The man standing near the mailbox wore a gray jacket and carried one of those little digital cameras real estate people use. He wasn't hiding what he was doing either. Karen crossed her arms and demanded, "Can I help you?" The man looked confused for a second, then he smiled politely. "Oh, I'm just documenting the property before closing." "Closing?" I nearly dropped into the chair behind me. Karen's voice sharpened immediately. "What closing?" The man glanced toward the house. "The sale scheduled next Friday." I couldn't breathe for a moment. Sale. My house. The house my husband built shelves in with his own hands. The house where my son took his first steps. The house where Tyler slept after the funeral because he couldn't stop crying. Karen came storming back inside. "Mom, call Tyler right now." My fingers shook so badly I could barely press his number. He answered on the 4th ring, sounding annoyed. "What?" "What is this about my house?" I asked. Silence. Then he sighed heavily like I was exhausting him. "Grandma, I was going to explain everything." "You're selling my home?" "It's complicated." "No," I snapped. "No, it is not complicated." Karen stood beside me, whispering, "Put him on speaker." I did. Tyler's tone changed immediately once he heard Karen. "Oh, great, she's there!" Karen exploded. "What the hell did you do?" "You don't understand the situation." "Then explain it." Another pause. Finally, Tyler said, "Grandma can't take care of herself anymore." I actually laughed from disbelief, a horrible little laugh that didn't even sound like me. I cook for myself. I drive myself. I pay my bills. Barely, he muttered. Karen slammed her hand against the counter. You forged paperwork? I didn't forge anything. You manipulated an old woman recovering from surgery. She signed it herself. I closed my eyes because suddenly I remembered. The hospital? Pain medication. Stacks of papers Tyler kept bringing into my room. Just sign here, Grandma. Insurance needs this. This one, too. I never read any of it. God help me. I trusted him completely. Tyler's voice got colder then, colder than I'd ever heard it. You don't get it. The house is drowning in debt. Karen looked at me sharply. What debt? And that was the moment something inside me shifted, because there shouldn't have been debt. My mortgage had been nearly paid off years ago. I whispered, Tyler, what did you do? He didn't answer immediately, and that silence scared me more than yelling would have. Finally, he said quietly, I had expenses. Karen grabbed the phone. What expenses? You know how much tuition costs? Rent? Everything? You took loans against her house, Karen shouted. She said she wanted to help me. I helped you already, I cried. I gave you everything I had. Tyler suddenly raised his voice too. Well, it wasn't enough. The silence afterward felt ugly, heavy. Then he said something that still wakes me up at night. You were going to die eventually anyway. Karen gasped. I couldn't speak. And then Tyler added quietly, You just weren't supposed to find out this soon. After that phone call, Karen contacted a lawyer the very next morning. That's when the real nightmare finally came out. Not the house, not the loans, not even the power of attorney. It was worse. So much worse. The lawyer sat across from us in his office in downtown Dayton, flipping through documents, while I felt smaller with every page he turned. Finally, he looked up at me carefully and asked, Mrs. Whitaker, did you knowingly transfer ownership of your life insurance policy and retirement accounts to your grandson? I stared at him. What? Karen looked confused too. What transfer? The lawyer slid papers across the desk. There was my signature again. Again, everywhere. Tyler hadn't just borrowed against my house. Over the last 8 months, he had slowly taken control of almost everything I owned. My retirement savings, my checking account, my late husband's small pension fund, even the life insurance policy I'd kept untouched for Karen after my death. I felt physically sick. The lawyer spoke gently. Most of these were signed during or shortly after hospitalization. Karen's eyes filled with tears immediately. He planned this. And suddenly, every strange thing from the past year started making sense. Tyler insisting on handling my mail. Tyler changing passwords to simplify things. Tyler getting angry whenever Karen visited unexpectedly. Tyler pushing me to sell furniture before moving somewhere smaller. He wasn't helping me. He was preparing me to disappear. The lawyer asked quietly, Do you know if anyone else was involved? I remember defending Tyler automatically even then. No, he wouldn't. Karen interrupted me. Yes, he would. Her voice cracked when she said it. Then she pulled out her phone and opened Tyler's social media again. This time she showed the lawyer private pictures somebody had sent her the night before. Tyler in Miami. Tyler in expensive clubs. Tyler beside a brand new BMW. Tyler wearing a watch that probably cost more than my monthly income. And beside him, the same girl from the restaurant, the one who thought I was dead. The caption under one picture said, built my future from the ground up. I covered my mouth because suddenly I understood why he erased me in that restaurant. I wasn't family anymore. I was evidence. The lawyer asked us not to contact Tyler again until emergency filings were prepared. He said if Tyler realized we knew everything, he might move the remaining money before the court froze the accounts. But Tyler figured it out anyway. That same night, around 11 o'clock, somebody started pounding on my front door. Not knocking, pounding. Karen looked through the window and whispered, "Oh my God." Tyler stood outside, swaying slightly like he'd been drinking. His face looked red and furious. "Open the damn door," he yelled. I had never heard him speak like that before. Karen told me to stay back, but Tyler kept shouting, "You went to a lawyer?" Neighbors' porch lights started turning on outside. "You think Karen cares about you?" he screamed. "She wants the money too." Then he suddenly started crying. Actual crying. "I did all this for us," he shouted through tears. "You were supposed to trust me." And before either of us could answer, he said the one thing he had been hiding from me all along. "The casino said they were going to kill me if I didn't pay them back." The words barely registered at first. Casino. Kill me. I just stared through the window at my grandson standing on my porch crying like a child while the neighbors watched from behind curtains. Karen opened the door before I could stop her. "You stole from her because of gambling?" she shouted. Tyler wiped his face angrily. "You don't understand how bad it got." "How much?" she demanded. He looked away. "How much, Tyler?" His voice dropped to almost a whisper. 380,000. I actually grabbed the wall beside me to stay standing. That number didn't even feel real. Karen looked like she might faint herself. "You took almost everything she had." "I was going to pay it back." "With what?" she screamed. Tyler pointed toward me suddenly, desperate and wild-eyed. "She always said family comes first." I finally spoke then, quietly. "No, family protects each other." For a second, he looked like the little boy I raised, the little boy who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. Then his face hardened again. "You don't get it," he snapped. "Those people weren't bluffing." Karen folded her arms. "What people?" Tyler shook his head fast. "I can't tell you that." The fear in his eyes looked real. That was the terrible part. But so was what he'd done to me. He stepped toward the doorway. "Grandma, if you help me fix this, I swear I'll make everything right." I looked at him for a long time. This boy had held my hand at his grandfather's funeral. He used to call me every Sunday from college. He cried in my kitchen after his father died. And somehow, somewhere, that person disappeared. Or maybe he never existed the way I believed he did. Karen said firmly, "You need to leave." Tyler ignored her completely. His eyes stayed locked on me. "They'll come after me," he whispered. I felt tears burning my eyes, but my voice stayed calm. "You already came after me first." Something in him changed when I said that. The softness vanished completely. "You think you can survive this without me?" he asked coldly. Karen stepped forward. "Get off this property." Tyler laughed bitterly. "What property? It's practically mine already." Then he looked directly at me one last time, and I will never forget how empty his face looked when he said it. "You should have just stayed quiet in that restaurant." Karen slammed the door in his face, and on the other side of it, we heard him scream, "I wish Grandpa had left the money to me instead of wasting it on you." Then came a loud crash against the front window. Glass shattered across my living room floor, and when Karen pulled me down behind the couch, we both realized Tyler was no longer outside alone. Karen pulled me farther away from the window while voices argued outside in the dark. Then we heard car tires screeching. A few seconds later, silence. Just silence. Karen stayed frozen beside the couch, listening carefully while glass crunched under our feet. But I already knew Tyler was gone. I walked slowly toward the broken window and looked out at the empty street where my grandson used to ride his bicycle when he was 10 years old. And for the first time in my life, I truly felt like a stranger inside my own family. Some stories end quietly, but the damage stays with people for years. If this story meant something to you, leave a comment below and subscribe for more real emotional stories like this one.